Yeah, I'm going to make a start, guys. We have a lot to cover. We have just a half-hour session today because we know that people do not want to be hanging around on Zoom for long periods of time, and we want to get everything into a half hour, but we have a lot to share with you today. So I'm going to get started, and anyone else who's joining us can catch up as they do that. So as I say, welcome to our webinar today, the second in the series on International Education Week. So just a quick introduction to myself and the team here, and if you can just click on the next slide there. Okay, so my name's Harvick Jones. Everyone calls me H, and I am the founder and director of Kaya Responsible Travel. Also joining us on the call today is going to be Laura Smith, who is our program manager. Joining us on Education Week, Emily Tong is our program coordinator. She won't be speaking on today's call, but you might meet her if we're doing further calls this week. And also Emma Powers, who is helping us today here with all of our tech, and Emma's our programs assistant. So just this is the team working on the international education webinars this week. And you'll hear from a few of us as we go on. Hey, go ahead, Emma. Next slide. Okay, so first of all, what I wanted to do, guys, is just give you a bit of information about who we are and what we do. So we are Kaya Responsible Travel. We were established in 2009. So basically we've been sending students abroad for coming on 12 years at this point. We're a responsible travel and education abroad organization with a focus on community and environmental development. We have a mission, and our mission is to promote sustainable social, environmental, and economic development, empower communities, and cultivate educated, compassionate global citizens through our responsible travel programs. And we're very proud of this, but we've won a bunch of awards, and in particular, the one we're always very proud of is that we are twice gold and 3 times silver medal winner of the Best Volunteer Abroad Organization. This is by the British Youth Travel Awards, and this is one that we're particularly proud of because it really reflects our ethics in the field and how we work to support our participants as they participate in that program. So in terms of what we offer, in terms of the kind of programs that Kaya run, we are specialists in experiential programs and cultural immersion in specifically non-traditional destinations. And we do that through our internship placements, more recently our virtual online internships, our study and service program, which actually combines study in a university with placements within the community, and our more traditional volunteer service learning programs that are particularly popular with you know, alternative breaks and for social groups and stuff like that as well. And where in the world do we operate? As you can see by the map here, in a lot of places, we operate in about 30 countries at this point, and we have ground teams in all of these locations across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So depending on where your interests lie, there is certainly a location that we have work in and teams that can help you as well. So hopefully you can see from the map a place here that sparks your interests. And with that, what I'm going to do is hand you over to Laura to talk a little bit more specifically about the fields that we are talking about today, which is health. So go ahead, Laura.
Great, thanks, H. Our main focus today is on opportunities for students studying health sciences, but because there's a lot of overlap between health and community, we also will be talking about internships that could be a good fit for social science students, particularly in the areas of mental health and well-being. If you are in a health-related field, there is certainly a wide range of projects where you can explore career possibilities and gain experience. I'll be sharing ideas for the health areas listed here, as well as several examples from past interns. Likewise, if you're majoring in social sciences, such as sociology, anthropology, psychology, political science, or economics, the possibilities are really endless. For today, I'll be focusing on the topic areas I've listed here. That being said, Kaya can match students from nearly every major and interest area. So if we have not mentioned your specialty, drop a note in the chat with your major or interest, and we'll make sure to send you our other webinars or placements that might be of interest. And before we share the opportunities out there, it's really important for you to understand our stance on ethics for health placements. Kaya provides extensive preparation and support for our students, and we vet all host organizations. But whether you intern with us or anyone else, it's super important that you do your research and follow these best practices and standards for healthcare placements. The first is do no harm. You are only allowed to participate in healthcare activities that you are fully trained and qualified to do. And you'll work alongside local healthcare professionals who understand the cultural context. As part of that, you may only engage in tasks that are in line with your qualifications, experience, and level of training. So if you're not qualified to deliver babies or provide injections here, you can't do it there. And even if you are qualified, you still may not be permitted to participate in line with local practices. We see placements as an exchange, and so it's not a training course. And it's important to keep in mind that the local team and resources always have to prioritize their responsibility to the patients and their clinic or the project. We avoid a show and tell mentality, which means that privacy, dignity, and empathy for patients should exist at all time. And you should expect that occasionally you won't be given permission to join a consultation, meeting, or procedure, or you may be asked to leave. And this is not personal. This is very normal, in line with ethical and best practices. You will not be the primary provider or healthcare practitioner. And it's important to understand the local context is vital, and that Western approaches and solutions don't fit all situations. So really, one of the greatest objectives in a health placement is to compare and contrast different approaches, challenges, and frameworks. And your reflection of this is key. An awareness and understanding of ethical considerations when presenting your experiences will help your future applications to med school. So an important note before we dive into some specific areas of interest. So with that in mind, let's talk about what you can do in specific healthcare and social sciences areas. Public health students can do anything from research and data collection to health education and outreach. You can develop health campaigns and workshops, work alongside locals to conduct needs assessments, and develop creative solutions to local health issues. Students studying physical therapy, kinesiology, sports therapy, or occupational therapy can join a range of projects related to sports and movement. So these types of activities might include things like sports development and coaching, working with patients with cerebral palsy or recovering stroke victims, or even doing something like equine therapy. And if you're interested in bridging your passion for the arts and health, you can inspire others to express themselves through movement, sound, and creativity in dance, music, or art therapy. For example, in the photo, we've got a therapeutic sculpture and sensory garden for at-risk youth in Belize. And these arts therapies are recognized by many as being really useful for people who have been abused or experienced trauma, in helping them become more self-expressive and build their self-worth. There's also a big need for nutrition programs around the world to provide healthy, well-balanced, and culturally appropriate meals, especially for children. You can work on direct service programs such as meal prep and delivery or education programs. Another option is focusing on capacity building projects addressing food access and security. These projects often go hand in hand with sustainable agriculture and community gardening projects. If we have any pharmacy students in the room, some universities allow you to participate in a clinical rotation out of the country, which is really valuable to understand different approaches to pharmacy and perspectives on the pharmaceutical industry. Or if you are on a track for dentistry, you can join projects and learn alongside local practitioners addressing dental needs of communities where there's otherwise little access to care. Dental hygiene workshops and education are also a high priority in these communities. Speech pathology or American Sign Language students can work with differently abled adults or children faced with physical or cognitive communication challenges caused by things like autism, cerebral palsy, developmental delays, or hearing impairments. And there's also a great need for interns in the field of women's health around the world. So these types of programs could be things like developing education programs to overcome stigmas of menstrual health and providing hygiene solutions, working with teens to prevent teenage pregnancy, or learning alongside local midwives. But remember, no delivering babies unless you're qualified to do that here. And if we have any nursing students in the room, nursing students can join projects that are either focused on clinical care or public health, depending on your school's requirements. And nursing students can work in government hospitals, remote or mobile clinics, or home-based care. And we haven't forgotten about our social science students. So whether you're interested in things like social work, counseling, or other social services, you can get involved in initiatives working with underserved populations, such as young offenders, victims of human trafficking, or survivors of violence or trauma. And again, you're always working alongside a qualified practitioner. Likewise, you can join a social justice or human rights organization, and these are tackling everything from international migration to LGBTQ rights, and everything in between. You can get involved with fair trade or microfinance projects, work with small businesses and entrepreneurs on their business plans, or support skills development for income generation in communities. And income security and financial independence, especially for women, can result in a higher quality of living, impacting nutrition and access to healthcare. Or you could work in advocacy, public policy, or with governmental agencies for social and economic or environmental issues. Before we get into some specific examples of what placements look like, I wanted to talk first about how you can benefit from a Kaya internship. So whether you're in person or virtual, this is a great way to gain exposure to global health and social issues and experience healthcare systems and social services in another country. Plus, you can try out different settings such as hospital, rural and mobile clinics, home-based care, labs, community centers, or international NGOs. We only place students at projects where you can make an impact and you're needed and wanted as an intern. Now more than ever, during this time when many of our host organizations are strapped for resources and capacity during the pandemic, your contribution to the project will really make a difference. You'll learn about the country and culture, develop relationships with colleagues and peers from the host country, and grow your professional network, which is super important at this stage of your career. Plus, you'll experience different cultural approaches to health and society, which allow you to better operate in a multicultural setting at home or in a global setting. The international work experience tackling a real problem in the world will help you stand out on your resume, and our career tools will help you articulate your experience. And if you're joining a virtual internship, you'll develop remote work skills, which really are different from taking online classes like you're probably doing now, and these skills are increasingly important in the workplace today. So what does an actual placement look like? First, let's talk about the in-person placements. You'll work with one of our placement advisors to match you to an organization and project that aligns with your academic, professional, and personal interests. Your project will be anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks or longer if you need it to be for your school. We can definitely work with your schedule and your university's requirements for hours. In each location, we have a local site team who will provide your orientation and support you throughout your time. You'll also have a project supervisor at your host organization. Throughout the program, you'll participate in reflections, and at the end, you'll complete a reentry toolkit to help you process the experience and articulate it on your resume and in job interviews. Accommodation style varies based on location. It might be a volunteer house, a homestay, or an apartment, but you can rest assured that they are all safe and vetted accommodations. And because each program has different dates, deadlines, and costs, we don't have those listed here, but you can search online on our website and find the specifics for the programs you're interested in. So let's dive into some examples from past Kaya interns. We'll start with Nate, who was a public health major who planned to pursue his master's with a goal of working for an international NGO. He chose this placement in Uganda to gain hands-on experience and learn from local experts. The primary concerns in the host community were low water quality, hygiene, and sanitation, which contribute to widespread disease, especially amongst children. Together with a local team, Nate conducted needs assessments in the community and developed a plan to implement and evaluate public health campaigns that promoted hand washing and food safety. Next up, we have Riley. Riley was a pre-med student and she was interested in movement, but not sure which path to focus on. So she chose a 4-week internship in an orthopedic and rehab hospital in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, where she could experience occupational therapy, physical therapy, and acupuncture. This allowed her to learn about healthcare in a cross-cultural setting and support patients receiving different types of treatments. Much of her time was spent in the occupational therapy room, where she was working with child patients with cerebral palsy. And this is an area that she ended up falling in love with, and that's the path she ultimately decided to pursue. She told us that one of the most amazing things to witness was the community aspect of the culture. And she said, I learned a lot about how a culture can affect healthcare, and I feel that I found something I am very passionate in. And our third example, so for some of our social science folks out there, Bridget was a major in psychology, and her goal was to help vulnerable populations empower themselves by teaching life skills. She joined an NGO in Cusco that welcomes about 20 to 50 children and teens at any given time, the majority who are boys that have often been abused or abandoned. These at-risk youth are provided accommodation, education, healthcare, and food. And Bridget had the opportunity to run skills-based workshops and other activities there to support their health, well-being, and their futures. So to address the elephant in the Zoom, what does travel look like in the time of COVID-19? Well, we don't have a crystal ball, but we anticipate we'll be able to responsibly reopen a number of locations in 2021, which will be done based on careful consideration and planning. Most of all, we want to make sure the experience is safe and impactful for both you and the local community. During this time, we want you to be able to plan your future travels without risk, so you can speak with a Kaya placement advisor to explore options, but we're not requiring full payments until we can confirm travel is possible in your location. In the meantime, we are also offering virtual internships, which might be a good fit for you if you're not able or ready to travel yet, and H is going to tell you about those.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is just talk very quickly about virtual internships and what your options are in this field. Our virtual internships actually look an awful lot like our in-person internships. We work with the same organizations, and you're placed with that organization in much the same way as you would be in an in-person program. But the work that you're going to be completing is work that actually can be done online, a lot of work in line with research, things that allow you to, to be working over the internet and interacting with your organization in that way to deliver work that they can use for their ultimate goals. And we're doing this in 5 of our locations. These are Ecuador, Morocco, South Africa, Thailand, and Vietnam. And similar to regular placements there, you kind of have a cohort of everyone who is interning in that particular location at the time, but individually placed within the different organizations with specific projects that have that social impact. That are, challenging and meaningful projects, and that project supervisor is then overseeing the work that you're doing, while the site team alongside them are working with all the participants as far as the cultural immersion element of it. And that includes cultural workshops. So we have weekly or bi-weekly cultural workshops that dive into relevant topics. So for example, we'll do a workshop on cuisine where we do some cooking classes, for example, or we'll have a session looking at the relationships and how they work within that culture, and in that way that you can get a bit more insight into the local culture of the location that you're interning. And alongside that, then we also have local buddy chats, so similar in a way to the people that you might chat to at a coffee shop. These are more sort of personal conversations that speak to just general topics. So some of the more recent ones that our local buddy chats have had with our participants are things like relationships. How does dating look like for a young person in your country? And also talking about politics, healthcare, things that are going on in the news, etc. So this is also a great way not only just to learn about the culture, but also be able to get that sort of one-on-one connection as well. And all the same things that can help you process this for your resume. So reflection sessions, our re-entry toolkit. We also have an additional tool that helps align your, help you to understand your work styles versus the local cultural work styles as well, to understand how you can work together. Unlike the regular internships, our virtual internships do have set start dates, and we have fall and spring semester programs and summer programs. The semester programs are 13 weeks long, our summer programs are 8 weeks long, and the number of hours that you commit each week then is reflected in that way. In the summer they're a little bit more intense and you can put some more hours in the semesters, especially because most people are working their internships alongside other classes. Then you could do fewer hours each week. And if you can just click to the next slide. So with that, an example of a recent intern who did a virtual internship this summer. Olivia was actually a student from Indiana, studying in public health, and she worked at this amazing organization that's a women's health nonprofit. And she actually worked alongside the team there to design a campaign to help reduce the levels of teenage pregnancy in the region. And she actually contributed to 2 really important funding proposals that managed to get the money that helped them then run the campaign that she'd helped develop. And she told us, my ultimate goal is to be a practicing physician. And this has been a perfect mix of observing and learning about clinical care, while also learning so much about public health education, which is great to hear. So just to finish off here, our virtual internships, again, unlike the in-person internships, the virtual internships are just one price, regardless of which country you do it in, or whether you do a semester or summer placement. So they're just a program fee of $12.85. And there are a few optional extras that you can add on here. Quite popular is the language classes, where you can do Spanish in Ecuador or French or Arabic in Morocco. And also, if your school does not provide credit for your program but accepts transfer credits, then we can work to get that transfer credit set up for you as well. Also, many of our virtual interns often want to actually travel to their host country or travel abroad someplace once they've done their virtual program, and we obviously want to support them in doing that. And what we do is we provide future program discounts, and that's anything from $100 to $700, depending if you go to the same place that you interned and all of that, and we work with you on that. And you can see here that for our spring sessions, we have a January and a February start coming up. And then for summer, we have a late May and a mid to late June start coming up for summer as well. If you're interested in those, you can see the application deadlines there as well. So with that, where do you go next? Hopefully that what we've given you here is some ideas that can really inspire you to get involved and participate, and see the benefits of participating as part of your studies. So what if you're interested in this, there are 2 options to do next. Either just go on our website, www.kirevolunteer.com, and you can browse all the programs there. You can specifically click on health programs, for example, to see what's available. Or just directly email our placement advising team. Our placements team are all very well traveled. Many of them have lived in the countries that we work with before, and in that have got a lot of experience to share with you. And regardless of the route in, we will always work one-on-one with you to make sure that the placement that you have is aligned with your skills, your interests, and what you're looking to get out of the program. So that's always very important. We like to get to know you as individuals and make that match. So with that, we'll give you the type of internships available. If you are looking to get credit for your experience, we encourage you to speak to your study abroad office, your department, or your careers center, depending on who is providing you that credit. And if that credit is not available and you're looking to get transfer credit, then again, you can speak to us and we can arrange that. So, speaking very quickly to get us everything in this half hour, we have managed to do that with 5 minutes to spare. And what we want to do, guys, is give you a little bit of time just to ask any questions. So feel free to either drop your questions in the chat, or by any means, you can unmute yourself and just speak up. Happy to answer any questions that you have in mind with that. And just thinking while you guys are
one of the questions that came up yesterday in a different session was, what language do you need to speak? And all of our placements are offered in English. That being said, especially in Ecuador, if you have Spanish skills, we can put those to use and find a placement. Or if you are a native speaker of another language where you're interested in doing a program, ask us about those placements. We might not have placements in Vietnamese on our website because we don't have very many students who speak Vietnamese, but if you have those language skills, let us know.
Mm-hmm. There's another question in here. Does every program offer transfer credit? Yes, we work with a school of record to enable any of our internship placements, both virtual and in person, be eligible for those transfer credits. So if you're, again, we always encourage you, your first point of contact is always to try and get credit from your home institution. That's always usually easier. But if not, absolutely any one of our programs can be applied for in that, and we can take you through the details of it. Thank you. And do we have any other questions there? Our health programs, guys, are actually some of our most popular programs. We have worked very hard to ensure that our health programs are aligned with the needs of med schools and departments that are specializing in health, and that's something that we're very proud of. It is something that you should not do without the considerations that Laura spoke about with regards to ethics. More than any other area, actually, it's really important for you to have those considerations and not to just turn up for anything that you might find on the internet that sounds exciting. It is very vital, obviously, as hopefully future professionals in this field, you'll know the importance of and the responsibility that comes with working in this area. At the same time, the ability to be able to compare and contrast how health is approached in different countries can be a massive eye-opener for somebody who most people have only had experience within their own culture, and actually sometimes that can narrow your viewpoint, especially when we work in such a multicultural country as wherever you are in the world, and many of us are in the US, I know, and as part of that you will come across people of very many different cultures as you are practicing in the future, and to have that experience and that understanding of how different healthcare approaches might affect how your patient presents or how something is executed is always something that's important for everyone, regardless of where in the world that you are becoming a professional in. So we hope with that gives you some inspiration, regardless of what point you are in your studies, whether you're a freshman who is considering going into health, or whether you're already doing your sort of postgrad degree. There is always an opportunity to do this, whether you do it as part of your regular semesters, or whether you even do it in your personal time as an experience to put on your resume. We really do encourage you to look at this as an option. And the one thing I think we hear from everyone is that it always is quite a life-changing experience, and that it really is an eye-opener to see the big wide world and how it impacts especially this very important field as well. So with that, guys, I think we don't have any other questions on here right now. Please visit our website, drop us an email if there's anything that we can help you with at all. If you could think of any questions that didn't come up today, please drop us an email and we can get back to you on that. We will send you a copy of this presentation. We realized we were talking very quickly to fit it all into this half an hour. So if you need to revisit that, then please do as well. And also please feel free to share this video. When it's not, if anyone wasn't registered, they can still access the link that we're going to send you. So with that, thank you very much. We hope to see some of you in some of the other webinars this week. We hope you enjoy International Education Week. And go ahead, Laura.
We have another question. How long is your internship?
Oh,
So
yeah, go ahead.
the in-person internships can range from 4 weeks to usually 12 weeks, but if you need it to be longer, we can work with that. Then the virtual internships are 8 weeks during the summer and 13 weeks during the semester. And the reason being the 8 weeks during the summer are more condensed. Students tend to have more time to complete more hours on a weekly basis. And during the semester, students are often taking other coursework. And so they're doing fewer hours per week. So it's extended over a longer period of time to make sure they get the total hours they need.
That's right. And if your school has a requirement that you have to work a certain amount of hours, you have to do a certain amount of weeks, or if you have certain paperwork that needs to be completed in order for you to be able to get those credits, not a problem. That is absolutely the norm for us, and we would just accommodate for that, and we can adjust our placements to be able to ensure that you guys can all, get your credits rightfully deserved. So yeah. Again, guys, if there's anything else, please feel free to drop us an email anytime. We are happy to help. We hope to see some of you on our programs in the future. And other than that, we wish you all a great week. So thank you for attending, and see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.